This fight this coming Saturday is going to be absolutely brutal.
Boxing.
Welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone's doing okay. I hope you're enjoying your weekend and got a chance to watch plenty of the boxing yesterday in all parts of the world. Some alright fights. Not quite as good as the one this coming Saturday. Oh my goodness. Artur Beterbiev takes on Joe Smith Jr. in a Unification light heavyweight title. My gosh, this is going to be absolutely brutal. Madison Square Garden this coming Saturday for 3 belts. Let's discuss. Okay, so welcome aboard anybody new to the channel. What we try to do here, when I say we, I mean anybody that wants to get involved in the comment section. We can talk about the fight that I break down right now. But what we try to do here, talk about the fighters. I'll talk about their trainers briefly, their styles. We'll break the fight down at the end of the video, throw a prediction in there as well. And I've got a section called the Hurt Zone, which is fairly new, where I'll highlight when these two fighters were hurt in the past. Does it pertain to this coming Saturday's fight, and or are there punches that their opponents can use on them to hurt them essentially, or be a major part in the fight? I'll leave timestamps as usual on the screen here and in the description box below, so you can skip to each part of the video. Now, before I go on, I just want to send my condolences to the young man's family and friends who lost his life, the South African boxer. Another stark reminder just how brutal this sport is and how dangerous it is, and how much these warriors put their lives on the line for us, the public, to be entertained. And we kind of tend to put it at the back of our heads, and I do too. And we always want entertainment, and just the harsh reality is that like I said, they put their lives on the line, and it's really sad. I didn't know the gentleman, of course, but nonetheless, very sad news. And I wish everybody around him well, and may his soul rest in peace, because the fight we have this Saturday obviously is a brutal one, and we hope both these guys come out healthy, and at the same time as providing entertainment. It's very difficult, but I just wanted to say that. So, moving on with the show, let's get into the tale of the tape. Okay, as you can see, this fight is in the light heavyweight division, a maximum weight of 175 pounds. Joe Smith Jr. has a 3-inch reach advantage. Both guys are 6 foot tall, and Joe Smith Jr. is 5 years younger than Beterbiev. Will that play a part in the fight? We're going to talk about all of this later on in the fight breakdown. Okay, let's start with the fighters. Only one place to start. Let's start with the human bear. This guy is the closest thing you're going to get to an actual bear. I'm telling you now, this guy is an absolute animal. Hasn't lost a fight, hasn't not won a fight without knocking his opponents out. Probably the strongest man in boxing, if you're talking about pound for pound strongest. Shout out to Boxing Gems on that one. This guy physically is just an absolute specimen. He's got a 6-pack coming out of his obliques. He's got a 6-pack the other side. He's got a 12-pack. He looks like he's got about 700 abs in his stomach. Unbelievable shape. How you deal with this guy is going to be challenging. We're going to talk about all that. But Beterbiev, obviously, he is a tremendous puncher, and he generates so much power just from short, stumpy shots. Puts a lot of pressure on his opponents, comes in superb shape, does the sports science nutritionist route, has been with trainer Mark Ramsey, I'll get into in a minute, for since he moved to America, or Canada, excuse me. But look, stylistically, he is an absolute nightmare to deal with. It's like literally dealing with a real bear. And I'm going to get into that in the fight breakdown too. How to fight a real bear. I'm actually being deadly serious. There are some tips you can do. Stay tuned for the fight breakdown. I promise I'm going to break it down. It'll be entertaining and funny, but there are some truth to it as well. There's some things that Joe Smith Jr. should take out of actually what you can do, and in terms of fear and approach to a fight. Fighting a real bear. But alright, so he's trained by Mark Ramsey. long-time trainer. Mark Ramsey's obviously had, you know, a good stable up there in Canada. You know, in terms of what style, he's spoken about what style he has, and he just tends to cater to what fighters have, which is, you know, typically what trainers should do. Don't try and change a fighter too much. He also is very particular with who he lets into his camp, and does it let his, you know, other fighters flourish? Are they cohesive together? And that's great. It builds a good camaraderie and a good camp. He just doesn't train anybody. I like that. It's very important, you know. So yeah, he's trained by Mark Ramsey. All right, so let's now move on to Joe Smith Jr. Look, impossible to not like this guy. Impossible to not like his story. He is the true blue-collar fighter in boxing. I mean, he's had his ups, he's had his downs, he's always come back, and he's clawed his way to the top. Controversially, I know he won that world title controversially, I understand that, but, you know, for his tenacity and his willing to win and his heart and his desire and his ability to constantly get himself in shape, he generally really looks like he loves working out. That's really important. I was following him on Instagram, and he had like a beach day, I guess. He posted, you know, beach day. I thought, oh, good for you, you know, he's taking the day off, he's going to the beach in Long Island, and, you know, next thing he's like running with this parachute on the sand. I'm like, wow, he doesn't take a day off. He doesn't take a day off. Look, in terms of his style, he's a little bit limited, but he's got tremendous amount of power, a lot of will to win, very courageous. And you listen, he comes forward and he's gonna put it on. He's gonna try to put it on Beterbiev. You know, he just comes to fight, and that's why this fight is so great, because both guys come to fight and they don't really like taking a backward step. Joe Smith's not the best at fighting backwards. We're going to talk about that in the fight breakdown, but this is such a tremendous fight for all these reasons. They both carry power. You know, I'd say Beterbiev was a bit more vulnerable just because he's been dropped a couple times and badly hurt. Joe Smith, we're going to get into this in the hurt zone as well, really hasn't been hurt as much as Beterbiev. So it's an absolutely amazing matchup, and I truly cannot wait for this fight this Saturday. It's at Madison Square Garden, and if you actually wanted to know a bit more about that building, I did a documentary about it. I'll leave a link up here, and it's just a 10-15 minute documentary about the history of the building, some of the fights that happened there. But anyway, moving on, speaking of the hurt zone, let's get into the hurt zone.
His legs are gone. His legs are gone. He's hot. He's hot. He's hot.
That's right.
Down goes Beterbiev on a right hand.
He's in trouble. Beautiful uppercut right up the middle, right on the chin. That shot hurt Joe Smith pretty badly.
Okay, welcome to the hurt zone. This is a section I created a few weeks ago. It basically highlights, you know, when these fighters were hurt in the past, and how does that play, if it does play a part in this coming Saturday's fight, or is there something, you know, habits that these fighters make that they can capitalize on each other. So let's start with, you know, obviously Beterbiev was badly hurt. Well, he was hurt. Yeah, he was badly hurt. His legs were shaky. He was wobbly against Callum Johnson.
Continues the attack and continues to rough up Johnson. Short goes down. Oh, stunner. And he's wobbled.
Watch Johnson jump on him now. He's in trouble.
Okay, he got caught with a short, tight hook on the inside, exchanging hooks. Beterbiev's hook wasn't as technically sound as Callum Johnson's. Beterbiev's got there first. Callum Johnson just landed a great shot. Is that something Joe Smith can do? I don't think so. Just because Beterbiev has, you know, shorter arms and he's tighter, he's a bit more compact. Joe Smith's a bit longer and typically throws longer shots and typically needs to step in on them. That being said, obviously Jeff Page dropped Beterbiev with a sort of a kind of a right hand, overhand right-ish. It was a weird punch.
Too much here in the opening frame.
That's right.
Down goes Beterbiev on a right hand.
Beterbiev's feet get tangled up from time to time, okay? So Joe Smith Jr. actually has a pretty good overhand right. And he cleaned out Fanfara with an overhand right, which was really close up, which was, you know, I think something that could absolutely play a part. He can definitely catch Beterbiev with something short on the, or short for him on the inside-ish. It's like mid-range-ish. But Joe Smith's done it before. I've seen him let off these shots. He's got a decent left hook, but that comes a little bit further away. I know he dropped Barrera with that left hook as well. But for Joe Smith to hurt Beterbiev, which he's going to have to, in my opinion, you know, I think his best bet is with that short overhand right, or perhaps maybe even setting it up with the jab. But there also, what could happen, which would be amazing if it did, is like they both tend to lean to the side and throw overhand rights. If they did that both at the same time and knocked each other down at the same time, that's obviously very, very, very unlikely. But Beterbiev has a great little sneaky little counter puncher. I think he might be a better counter puncher than people give him credit for, especially with that sneaky overhand right. Joe Smith does a similar thing, and those are definitely two punches to look out for. In terms of Beterbiev hurting Joe Smith, now Joe Smith broke his jaw and he got stopped in an earlier fight. I forget when, but I've tried to scour the internet and you can find the fight, but you can't find the part where, you know, he actually gets taken out of the fight. I guess he couldn't continue, broken jaw. But outside of that, Joe Smith hasn't really been too badly hurt. I know Barrera definitely hurt him with an uppercut.
Followed by a beautiful uppercut right up the middle, right on the chin. That shot hurt Joe Smith pretty badly.
Now this is going to be important too, because Joe Smith tends to use the high guard, especially when he gets a little bit disorientated. He doesn't have the best boxing sort of fundamentals, especially when it comes defensively. So he'll stick his high guard up, which has a lot of issues. A high guard, you can blind yourself. There's a lot of openings from the side, the body. Beterbiev is actually excellent at taking apart people with a high guard. He can really peel back your punches, which is peeling back your hands basically to create openings. He tries to sneak that uppercut in, which is what Barrera caught Joe Smith with. Barrera's was a lot longer, but you know, Beterbiev is going to look to put Joe Smith on the back foot and have him, you know, in a little bit of disarray and try and take apart that high guard, which I think he will, which I'll talk more about in the fight breakdown. But you know, to be honest, there's a lot of punches that could probably happen. This is going to be quite a wild fight. Their balances are both a bit suspect at times, and obviously they got a tremendous amount of power. So I'm not saying these punches are definitely going to hurt them. They could, but I think these guys can hurt each other with practically anything. They've got so much power in the room and so much heart and courage that, you know, and throw in the balance issues too, and just like the animalistic side of both these guys, you know, a hurting could happen at any time. But I would suggest the overhand right from both guys, and then, you know, Beterbiev picking apart Joe Smith's high guard when he starts to kind of panic a little bit, because everybody that fights Beterbiev panics. Why wouldn't you? But you know, that's it for the Hurt Zone this week. And let's get into the fight breakdown and prediction. Okay, fight breakdown and prediction time. Okay, like I promised, all right, I'm going to talk about how to fight a real bear. Now, if you are that unlucky person that finds yourself in a predicament where you're face to face with a grizzly bear, God, there are some things you can do. All hope is not lost, all right? Just, you know, if it's a black bear, you might be all right, because they tend to not be as aggressive. But if you're in face to face with a grizzly bear, what you have to do is you have to be extremely loud, aggressive, and show no fear whatsoever. Do not run, okay? Now this pertains to the fight because Joe Smith Jr. cannot show any fear. Leading up to the fight, I haven't watched too many press conferences. I know there haven't been any face-to-face, not from what I've seen. But Callum Johnson, leading up to this fight, was saying, and he used the Northern English term, which is saying daft, D-A-F-T, which he found it daft that people would be scared of Beterbiev. And I was like, okay, that's kind of amazing he would say that, but he acted on it. He wasn't scared. And he went in there and he started on the front foot, met Beterbiev in the middle of the ring, showed him he wasn't intimidated, and started backing Beterbiev up and ended up hurting him. And that is how you have to do it. You can't show any fear against Beterbiev because he will sense on that, and that's what he wants to do. He wants to bully you and back you up and intimidate you and maul you. And you can't let him do that, no matter what, okay? You have to bully him. Joe Smith has to come in there. Don't start prancing around. Not that he does anyway, but like he's got to really be assertive. He's got to believe in himself, and he's got to put it on Beterbiev. Not necessarily come out throwing the jab or whatever. Just show that you are there to fight. He's going to be in the fight of his life. He has to understand psychologically that he has to prepare for absolute war. He's obviously going to know this, but psychologically, that is what you do when you're fighting a bear. Do not show any fear whatsoever, and don't get backed up for too long. There is another thing that, you know, if you are fighting a bear and you do find yourself on the floor and the bear is about to swipe you, apparently people from Alaska have told me that what you're supposed to do in that situation is be face down and put your hand on your neck like that. So if it does swipe at you, it's not going to take your organs or the back of your neck out. So, big graphic, I know. But point being, if Joe Smith is going to find himself in a position where he's like getting mauled or anything like that, he can't be running around with his high guard in disarray with his feet everywhere, because he's going to get taken apart. You know, he has to either clinch a little bit, which might be against his philosophy, or just, you know, try and catch him in an exchange, because Beterbiev has been caught in exchanges.
Round 4. Oh, and here comes Ron saying, I'm going to go for broke, and he scores.
And that is typically where people have had most success. And, you know, if Joe Smith Jr. is going to have any chance of this, he has to be prepared to walk through fire to land his shots, okay? Just like Callum Johnson did, and, you know, just you know, I forgot the guy's name, Ratchovich, Hot Rod, we'll call him. He landed a decent clean shot on Beterbiev in exchanges, and, you know, it didn't necessarily hurt him, but with Joe Smith's power, I'd expect him to hurt Beterbiev. I'd expect possibly both guys to get dropped. I think this fight is going to be an absolute brutal war, as I said. I can't see it going the distance. I'd be absolutely shocked if this went 12 rounds. Joe Smith, like I said, he's got to push Beterbiev back as much as he can and not try and get into the... When Beterbiev makes people fight frantically, okay, which is obvious because he's just a tremendously strong man with power and everything. So, you know, you have to try to minimize the franticness, because if Joe Smith gets more frantic and he's getting backed up and he's got his arms in the air with the high guard, it's a game over, you know. Like, I think this fight could be done early for Smith, or obviously for Beterbiev. But if I were to wager bet, I would say I would back Smith early, maybe a 30 or 40% chance, maybe somewhere between there, or Beterbiev probably in, like, you know, between 6 and 8 or something like that. And I think, you know, the more Beterbiev pushes Smith back and makes him, like I said, uncomfortable, starts peeling back that high guard and starts working the body and the head and all these like uppercuts and stuff, and constantly has Smith on the back foot, then it's game over for Smith, I think. But if Smith can hold his ground, not be intimidated, land something hard early, give something to think about for Beterbiev, you know. Just let him feel your power. It doesn't have to be a clean shot. Even if you come in and throw a hard shot on his arm or something, just let him know you're there. You're there. You're not gonna be intimidated by this guy. That's how you have to fight this guy. It's the only way, in my opinion. So I'm gonna go with Beterbiev, the human bear, in round 6 to 8 TKO. in a great fight. You know, I would not be shocked if Joe Smith Jr. was able to hurt him and, you know, stop Beterbiev. I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think it will happen, but, you know, I think if Smith's got a chance, it's going to be early. But I'm going to go with Artur Beterbiev TKO victory, rounds 6 to 8. But look, this is like an incredible fight. I cannot wait for this fight, and I am truly excited. Obviously, you can tell I am. I hope you guys are too. Let me know what you think in the comment section about this fight. Who do you think is going to win and why? Keep it respectful. Boxing on the edge. Take care of yourself.